I'm quite confident that if I'm any significance or use at all, is because I am really a demonstration of what an average healthy human being really does have in the way of faculties and resources, that when the individual makes up his mind really to go along with whatever the truth and the challenges may be, and not try to solve things in the terms of what the going game of money or politics may be.
Yes. I
was able to realize that humanity had arrived at some point of transformation, a great threshold crossing.
Yeah.
That is, in view of the fact that all humans were born naked,
yes,
absolutely helpless, ignorant, we obviously had to find our way, and we had to find our way by trial and error, gradually to discover that we have mind, that mind can discover principles, and that principles themselves are something that cannot be apprehended just by brains of any other creature, that because brains are always and only coordinating the information input from the touching, the smelling, the hearing, the seeing, that I felt then that here I was coming into a picture of man on board of our planet after millions of years having this beautiful vocabulary, so you and I can communicate these experiences, that out of those experiences we can discover principles, and we're here to employ those principles quite clearly in a universe where we have importings and exporting. All the stars are exporting energy, giving it off enormous ways. However, we also discover as of this century that apparently no energy is either created or lost, so therefore the universe is eternally regenerative. It's the only and the minimum perpetual motion invention. And to have such an extraordinary invention with all the permitted 92 chemical element behaviors and all the different frequencies associating, all the intertransformings that can go on, and always going on, never ceaselessly, and yet it's to have such an integrity that nothing gets lost. Our own planet, we discover, is a place where the energies of the universe are being collected, where the sun radiation being pounded by the vegetations and the algae, and converted by photosynthesis, beautiful orderly molecular structure, making hydrocarbons out of disorderly receipts. Therefore, this quite clearly is a place where the biologicals are taking the energies, sorting them out, turning them into orderly structure, and burying them ever more deeply, we call the fossil fuels. Human beings, amongst all the biologicals, has the most extraordinary sorting capability, which is that of the mind, which in principle then can do that. So I'd say, if you invent a very complex machine such as the Boeing 747, you have to have a whole lot of instruments. Those instruments are telling you about all the stresses, strains, heats, and relative pressures, and then you once in a while discover something on those information that says, in fact, the lack of information says the pilot's got to take over from automatic, and only by virtue of his access to the principle of the universe could he possibly save the ship. I say then, in designing a much more complex thing, which would be the eternally regenerative universe, you would have to have some local sensing mechanisms that are able then to take very sensitive readings and then to solve problems by virtue of that access to the principle of the universe. Apparently, human beings have then what one might call a local and universe monitoring function of the problem solving. And I say, what is common to all lives in all history? Problems, problems, problems. We're here for that. So that our game on our planet is this problem solving. So anyway, our point was that I found myself an outsider, and because I was an outsider, then I tended to look at the total information rather than the strong. So I realized that we might be crossing this threshold where instead of just it had to be you or me in a battle of power and might, see who's going to live and who's going to die. It might be that the principle would make it possible to make everybody successful.
The latter, the former...
But yet we didn't know about those principles earlier.
The former being on the idea of scarcity, that there was a condition of scarcity and that we would be coming to a moment of a realization of a surplus capability.
If we really use the resources in an intelligent way, always in principle and not just for me. If then instead of hoarding for me, for my survival, we really looked into the synergy, which is the principle operating between systems I spoke about, that the mind and the mind alone can discover, where we discover these are behaviors of whole systems unpredicted by the behaviors of the past, like the gravity of the moon and Earth. So I said, I can see that only if we really begin to operate together and employ those principles, could we really possibly make man a success. And I began to look into that matter and saw that we did know how to fly and do a lot of these things very well, but we were assuming that there's not enough ground, so we were doing only a tackling science for war, or how are you going to kill, to see which one is going to survive.
It's true. That's